Good afternoon, I think in some areas of the world. Delighted to see everyone. I can see that we've still got some people dialing in. I know it's first thing for those of us on the East Coast. Um, but I thought we would kick off. We've got a packed agenda today. Really excited to introduce our fourth annual Inclusion Summit that Diversio has hosted each year. Our goal in these events is to bring together practitioners in the people, culture, diversity, and inclusion space. And what a ride it's been over the past 4 years. So what we will do as a run of show, I will do some opening remarks, introduce myself, and then pass it over to my co-founder, Anya, to run us through the day, talk us through some themes and some panelists that we'll be introducing, some trainings that we'll go through, some educational content, some kind of rules of the road and how we aim to facilitate the day to make sure it's really engaging. And basically take it from there. So by way of introduction, my name is Laura McGee. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Diversio. We are a technology company, a software and education company that's been around for about 6 years. And our mission is to help organizations become more inclusive as a way to improve their performance. And so the win-win that we see is when you create a really inclusive environment where employees feel like they belong, that they're productive, that they're engaged, that drives results, where businesses see more productivity, more profit, and effectively a happier workforce. So with that in mind, the goal of today is to, again, introduce some really interesting topics and some great panelists to share their perspective about some key topics that we know our clients and our networks are talking about. And so things like mental health, the retention paradigm, technology and how that can be leveraged for performance. But I wanted to start by sharing some contextual themes. So it's been, especially over the past 3 years, quite, I would say, a pendulum swing back and forth when it comes to people, culture, and particularly diversity and inclusion in the global environment that we operate in. And so some key themes as I was reflecting on today's event, we're seeing some, I think, good themes and also some more troubling themes. On the troubling side, I think we can all agree there feels to be more geopolitical conflict and quite a bit of social unrest. And this is international. So we're seeing things like military spending is up, obviously very concerning, international conflicts. And a lot of these have a social component, and they absolutely have an effect on diversity, inclusion, and engagement of workers worldwide. Similarly, and a bit more introspectively, we see certainly at Diversio a rise in mental health conditions. And so now we're seeing that over 1 billion people worldwide are living with a mental health condition. This ranges from things like depression, anxiety, PTSD. And so, how do we grapple with this? How do we support individuals and adapt our working styles so that we, make room for people to be healthy and be well? Kind of underpinning all of this, you knew it was coming, we've got AI. And so I think everybody, probably on a personal level on this call, has felt the effect of ChatGPT, has felt the effect of tools like Copilot and Perplexity. And that's really exciting, and there's a lot of potential, but there's also a lot of risk. And so we're seeing, as an example, about 75%, an astounding number of companies are using and adopting AI, but only 15% have a clear strategy for ensuring inclusion and inclusivity in that deployment. And so we're running the risk of perpetuating bias. We're running the risk of, unethical deployment. And so how do we confront that challenge head on? And on a more positive note, I think one thing that we feel at Diversio, and we're talking about diversity and inclusion all day, every day, across 65 countries that we operate in. It felt, being very candid last year, it felt like there was a backlash. And it felt like, for some people, DEI is a kind of a bit of a dirty word. And what we're feeling and what we're seeing, certainly internationally, is that pendulum, I think, is normalizing. And so I think everybody on this call, preaching to the choir, understands that a more inclusive world is a happier, more productive world, but that's not true everywhere. And so we did see, certainly, in 2023, it was more challenging to have these conversations. It was a lot more contentious, and we're seeing now the conversations are moving back. And so that's, I think, quite a positive sign. So with that in mind, as we, convene today, as we discuss and hopefully have an open discussion, lots of engagement, I'd like to reflect on these trends and how can we work together as a community to, emphasize and highlight the positive, confront the risks head on, be bold, and work together to help each other make more inclusive workplaces. So thank you for joining. I will hand it over now to Anya.
Thanks, Laura. So welcome everyone. Really excited to be here today. As Laura mentioned, we have a really exciting and interesting day planned for you with lots of surprises, learnings, and of course, really meaningful conversations between our panelists and our team. So what will the day look like for us? I'm not sure if we're screen sharing, but if we are, maybe we can turn to the slide on perfect, the slide on the schedule. So for our schedule today, what we'll be going through is our panels. So first and foremost, we're going to kick things off with a fantastic panel on closing the mid-career gap, strategies to support mid-career professionals. The mid-career gap is something that I know many of you are probably intimately familiar with, which is when we have quite strong representation of diverse folks up until a certain level in an organization, and then it happens to fall off a little bit. And a lot of us that are promoting people and culture across the organizations work really hard to ensure representation at the most senior levels. So we'll be sharing some tactical strategies about how to overcome the mid-career gap, as well as some interesting things that our partners and clients are doing to move that needle forward. We're also going to be speaking on a panel called Resilience Through Inclusion, how investing in people stabilizes organizations. Like Laura mentioned, it's been a bit of a turbulent time over the last couple of years with regards to the economy, with regards to potentially looming recession, and the way that companies have been navigating that while continuing to invest in their people. Lots of industries are getting very creative when it comes to continuing their DEI efforts and are making a real big difference. So we'll be turning to diversity, no pun intended, of organizations in various sectors to talk to them about the ways to navigate this space now. We'll also be speaking to a panel called Creating Dynamic Teams and Technology, and how AI and data and analytics create inclusive, high-performing teams. Of course, AI had to be part of this summit this year because it is such an all-pervasive topic, and lots of technology companies are doing really interesting things when it comes to AI, whether that AI is applied to driving diversity, equity, and inclusion or other business goals. And there's lots of things that also we can be doing to kind of use AI and facilitate sort of jumping to that next stage of DEI development. And then finally, we're going to be wrapping up with a panel entitled Discussing Mental Health and Inclusion, a discussion on post-pandemic workplace challenges. Mental health has been a really important topic that has been on the rise over the last few years. At Diversio, we're actually finding that mental health numbers in organizations have effectively skyrocketed, with the first influx of numbers starting during the pandemic, which is of course very explainable, where on average we were seeing 20 to 25% of people identify as having a mental health condition, but post-pandemic, those numbers have only continued to grow. Now we're seeing about 30 to 40% of employees at organizations identify as having mental health conditions. Most of the time, they're things like anxiety and depression. And of course, this is extremely meaningful for you as you continue to invest in your people and make an effort to ensure that they're empowered to do their best work, as well as that they're feeling good day to day. Besides those fantastic panels, we have a couple of really interesting and hopefully exciting surprises planned for you. So the first being that we're going to do a product launch reveal of what's still to come for Diversio and our software in 2024, as well as 2025 and beyond. We have a few really, really special feature releases that we think will coincide with the themes of the day and also hopefully get you excited about the future of DEI. If you're not already, which I'm sure many of you are. And then we also, of course, have a couple of training workshops for you by the Diversio team. So the first workshop that we're going to be doing is entitled Divergent Thinkers, Convergent Goals, Exploring Neurodiversity and Actionable Steps for Creating Inclusive Environments. And the second is called Equity and Performance Management, Integrating Inclusion into Performance Reviews. So both really, really important topics. So really excited to listen and learn on those today. Wanted to also thank our two sponsors for this or summit for this year. So the first is our Investor Leadership Network, which is, of course, a consortium of the world's largest asset managers who are investing in diversity, equity, and inclusion as part of their mandate to support their portfolio companies and broader attention to DEI in the investing world. Members of the island include organizations like Teachers, CPP, OMERS, Natixis, Generali, State Street. So really, really exciting. AIMCO, of course, work being done there. And then our other sponsor is Lattice, our peers in the data analytics space. Really, really excited to have them and collaborate this year. Finally, as part of the panel discussions, you'll be seeing a lot of really fantastic input from DEI professionals, CHROs, executives, and thought leaders from a variety of different companies and industries, including organizations like Volkswagen, the CPA, Canadian Blood Services, BCG, Horizon Media. Really, again, no pun intended, but a diversity of people coming in and sharing their thoughts.